So while we were doing an item about the food and drink down here at the Bill Marina, I've also got Mr. Boot with your MHK hat on now on this one.
Very much so.
We did 2 MHKs for Carlstown the other day, so I thought it was only fair for you to have your moment. But it's exactly the same questions I'm going to have to ask you. This is obviously about the bank, sorry, we should make that clear, shutting down in your area. But it's a commercial bank and it's a commercial decision.
It is a commercial decision, but there are codes of conduct and I think governance rules and responsibility to the community as a whole. Peel is the last branch in the west that will leave the west without any banking facilities whatsoever. For businesses that's difficult to manage. To come to Douglas or Port Erin is perhaps half of your day gone, and small businesses very difficult to find that time, and for a lot of people, particularly older people in Peel, getting to Douglas is not as easy as just walking to the local branch.
No one's using it, right?
That's not true. We went to see Stuart Chivers, the local director of the bank, when they were very stubbornly keeping the banks closed after the COVID crisis was over.
Of course, yes, you had that as well.
And we went through that, and they reopened. And ever since it's reopened, whenever I've been in Peel, I bank there with the facility that they've got. Sometimes I've not been able to get in there. 4 or 5 people.
But they're not giving the figures, are they? You've asked for figures, I believe, and they're not telling you numbers.
The only thing that they told us, and it's very disingenuous, is that it's been an 8% reduction in footfall on an annual basis. Well, reduction in what? If we don't have the figures, when Lloyd's closed their branch, they came to us and very fairly said average footfall per week in our branch in Peel is 27 people, as low as that, and they told us about the number of accounts, and that was indefensible. But this is completely different. It's a last branch. It always seems busy. Most of the people I speak to in Peel bank there. They see the Isle of Man Bank as the Bank of the Isle of Man, and with that comes some corporate responsibility, I think. And there's been no consultation. The British Banking Association have codes of conduct for particularly the last branch in a town, consulting to find out what alternative facilities are available. Nothing's happened. It was an arbitrary decision. The Chief Minister got a call, then I got a call. We're closing the branch.
And back to the COVID, do you think that was almost a try before they buy to close it? I mean, they were very slow on reopening, weren't they?
They were very slow, and they cited working from home and all the other usual things. But Stuart said to me when I went to see him, well, your department's not open for business yet. I said, yes, it is. It was open a week before. And he said, well, we're trying to keep our people working from home. But that's not what banking's about. In my opinion, it's about service as well. And I get the feeling they don't like retail banking, and I understand the move away from that from a lot of banks, NatWest Group, particularly perhaps RBS, looking at the situation. But the Isle of Man Bank, it has a great following on the Isle of Man simply because it is perceived as the Bank of the Isle of Man, and to me that is being thrown away.
The other MHK is talking about maybe a suggestion of sharing, some days in Peel, open some days in Castletown, but that's not a starter for 10. They own the buildings as well, don't they? So this is clearly an overhead they presumably want to relieve themselves of eventually.
It's quite a prestigious building in Peel, and as is the branch in Castletown. There will be some capital value to that and a reduction. Yes, one of the suggestions is that with Port Erin staying open, that Port Erin and Peel share staff, as it were, 2.5 days or 2 days, 3 days. That would be preferable to no bank at all.
Penny hasn't come back, and again, that was telling me this. I thought that would be the obvious solution, but that's not necessarily what you're hearing.
I think there's reluctance there as well. I mean, I can't confirm that.
No.
We want to, Mr. Harmer and myself are going to see Mr. Chivers this coming week.
Let's have you talk to us as well, the public, so that we can all hear what's...
Yes, yeah. I mean, this weekend we've got a solidarity protest.
Because Friday is Castletown, you're doing Saturday, right?
Yes, yeah. We're doing a solidarity protest. We're trying to get as many people to come to the Peel branch at 10:30. There's a petition that is going to be finalised at that particular juncture, but we want to gauge the depth of feeling, and there's a lot of anger. I mean, I've spoken to people and they're angry.
But no, the bank's queuing up to go in there because it's just the way things are going. I mean, you're not going to be able to change their mind, are you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we can try, and that's what we're here for. Retail banking is moving to the digital platforms, but there is always a need particularly with businesses and with people that have to pay checks in, get cash, to have an interface.
Do you go often yourself, though, to a bank?
I go to a bank nearly every week
Right.
to collect cash or pay checks in. Seem to have a check or two come through the post.
And you said it looks busy in there. I mean, you've gone in.
I have actually not gone in there several times because there's been a queue,
right.
and I've waited till the next time. Or as I'm in Douglas quite frequently, it's quite easy for me to pop down to Athol Street. But to me, it is busy.
This was on the cards for many years, really. I mean, it was just inevitable once, I think, was it Carmichael and those sorts of ones started years ago when Bill Shimmons was still in charge.
Well,
it's almost, you can see the writing on the wall, couldn't you?
It's a phenomenon, and I think if you look at Kirkmichael, Laxey, and some of the other small branches that have gone, and Lloyd's I talked about in Peel, they can't be justified in terms of expense. But there is an element of serving your customer base here, and unless they share their commercial figures with us, they tell us it's commercially sensitive. Well, it's fairly commercially sensitive to Peel that they're not going to have a bank, and I think people in Peel would like to know why that branch is not viable. If it isn't viable, then there's a position that they can defend. But at the moment, not sharing any information is disappointing, to say the least.
Well, 3 of the 4 MHKs are council ministers, but is there any pressure the government can do? I mean, you do bank with them.
Well, the Chief Minister's expressed his concern and regret, and I think he has written to the Isle of Man Bank. This is not a Comyn subject at the moment. I'm acting as an MHK here. Certainly, we will be, no doubt, discussing this at some stage.
You can't make them do things they don't want to do, can you?
Absolutely, and it is a commercial organisation. We acknowledge that, and that they will make commercial decisions. And we've seen that in the past, and we're seeing it happening in the UK.
Do you think they could have done something a bit different? I mean, warned people that there's a potential of closures if people don't use it, and see if that changed things?
Their code of conduct says that they should consult, and they should share information, look at alternatives, suggest alternatives. I mean, as Environment Minister, and putting an environmental hat on at the moment, it's not very good. We're trying to keep people off the roads, we're trying to reduce travel times and other things, and then suddenly all Isle of Man Bank customers who were able to walk into Peel are going to have to drive to Douglas or Port Erin, and that doesn't play to the environmental agenda either.
So Saturday morning outside the branch, what time again?
10:30 outside the branch. It'll be a short solidarity protest. We're not there to make loads of speeches. We just want to get some people there, gauge the depth of feeling, and also have a platform to show the Isle of Man Bank that people in Peel really care about having a branch of the Isle of Man Bank in Peel.